I've had the realme P3 for around a month, a little over per se, and during this course of time, I've happened to pick it up on outings mainly to test its camera, display and overall functionality under both casual daily use and a bit of pressure. Currently with the realme P4 series launch, this already belongs to the last generation, but still, is it worth considering, especially if it saves you some money compared to upgrading to the latest? Let's just see how well it fits into the day-to-day picture of having a proper phone. The realme P3 happens to be my first realme device from the P series. While I'm familiar with their top tier lineup, the GT series, then the mid-range number series and the C series, which follows for a more not entry but budget level approach, I'm struggling to see where the P series tries to fit. For affordability, the P series quietly costs less than or drags with the number series of the same year based on India's pricing, but it costs more than the C series. So at this point, it's pretty much an alternative to the number series, seeing it shares common traits like design elements and certain specifications with its number series counterparts from the same production cycle, which is why all variants of the realme P3 and the realme 14 are basically same inside and out, just renamed colors and an additional placement in the camera island for the 14. The display is not something we would go extra banger about. The specifications tells us it's a flat 6.67-inch 120Hz AMOLED panel carrying the eSports label. That's a label I found unusual at first on a smartphone because anyone can just label anything now, but I looked it up and it supposedly tags as a feature to enhance gaming visual experience. It further offers 2000 nits of peak brightness with up to 1500Hz of instant touch sampling. How does all this translate in real life? In practice, it means indoor colors are mostly spot on, punchy and vibrant. If you do lots of medias, crashing with Netflix or pirated blockbusters will be an absolute treat for your budget, and scrolling social media can be very snappy and instant on response. Though this should really be the bare minimum and it shouldn't be up for negotiation for what you're paying. 2000 nits is rather in the average in peak brightness for this category. However, it still happens to be operational in external conditions if you have good eyesight for it, even with the shadow interference over the screen. I do not spot solid differences from devices I've operated in same conditions, boasting slightly higher numbers. So for adults, the visibility can be fine depending on the atmospheric condition. The phone weighs just 194 grams, a typical weight for devices in this segment, and it feels lightweight in hand. It is rated IP69, which means you can expect a maximum timely protection against heavy levels of dust and water. The body build of the device is in plastic, and I've got the Comet Grey variant amongst the color options, but unfortunately not the most good looking. The body unfortunately again is a premium stain magnet. Even with the darker design, fingerprints are never shy of revealing themselves. You've got an included protective rubber case that interestingly looks better than the actual plain body of the phone itself with its textured repeated line patterns. This is one scenario where I would prefer to always have the case on aside the usual protection measures. Plus, the grip is very comforting. The device is lacking a headphone jack port placement, which might disappoint some, but it does have a microSD card support through a shared SIM slot. Inside of things, we have running a Snapdragon 6 Gen 4 5G chipset on a 4nm process. It's not the newest, but quite capable. That comes to play with ease in handling majority of tasks and day-to-day operation. The processing power has been stable for gaming, picture taking and system functions. Every game I've downloaded were able to run on this device without the issue of failing or ruining the experience. The frames are mostly stable and you get up to 90 FPS for titles like Call of Duty Mobile. Every game plays normal so far, plus the graphics are pleasing to stare at the entire process. Realme devices allows you fine-tune performance with GT Boost or GT Mode and several other game enhancement tools you usually find at the sidebar after opening a game. This allows you to tweak between settings and other optimizable functions. The thermal management is also okay for regular sessions. Anything extended will trigger sudden warmness around the body parts. The P3 sports dual stereo speakers, and as always, I'll let you be the judge. The 8GB of RAM is rather okay for multitasking and carrying operations without the need to consider expanding the RAM. My variant comes in 256GB storage, which comes partially occupied by bloatware out of the box, but they are able to uninstall. The phone runs the realme UI 6.2 on Android 15 in its default condition. This is the same UI version I have been using on the flagship GT7, and even though one is superior and the other is below par, the software experience as well as the features for both phones feel very similar, and that's a good thing. You get a smooth realme OS and lots of AI features baked in, though I don't plan to explore everything here except for some few notable features. The Life Alert is present on the UI 6.0, which is like realme's iteration of the dynamic island. It allows for monitoring of real-time activities and previewing them from an interactive capsule. The cool aspect is swiping on the capsule allows you to monitor different things, and when you tap, they all fall down in order. The flux dim wallpapers on the realme P3 are limited compared to realme's flagship counterparts, but there are still some few cool ones, and when it comes to the default text, you can only tweak colors, not edit the text. The always-on display has some exciting customizations you can explore and make your own. You can customize the icon appearance and sizes to add some life to your home screen. The smart sidebar is a quick hub for keeping essential materials. From the apps you constantly access to extras like text and images. It is like the purse while your phone is literally the handbag. AI Smart Loop lets you drag and drop content directly into apps all from one place. On the default Recording app, Recording Summary allows you to summarize audio into transcripts by just clicking Summarize. And there's also the S-Code gesture, which is the not so useful way of navigating the list of supported apps with a distance-sensitive air flickering. The Photos app is built to the AI Editor feature, and that has a variety of photo editing tools like Eraser, Unblur, Remove Reflections, and the new one AI Clearface, which is still in its beta phase. The under-display optical fingerprint sensor on the realme P3 is pretty responsive on both dry and wet fingers. We also have a few customizations to better refine the fingerprint animation whenever you press on it. Battery life is one of the strongest selling points of the realme P3. The device carries a 6000 mAh battery capacity supported by 45W fast charging. The brick is included in the box, so you don't have to look around. I have gone through some days with the device doing occasional testing and some activities, but I never emptied the battery all in one day in these conditions. It has been rocky solid, and even on medium to heavy taxing, it proves capable of seeing through the day. The 45W charging capacity would fill the battery up in a little over an hour. There's a full charging test available to verify that. One is the main 50 megapixel wide angle camera, and the other is the 2 megapixel depth camera. So at this point, we pretty much know we're working with just one lens, which is the 50 megapixel main. It may look basic, but it is capable of trailing your expectations, I guess. There's no major bad sentiments for me with all the daylight photos I've been capturing. Details are very clear, colorful, and sharpened under regular conditions. Leveraging Realme's Auto HDRO, photos tend to come out well color processed even in some struggling weather conditions. The HDRO, of course, can be also disabled for more softer, authentic, and reduced processing. When you try to dial down on smaller subjects like flowers, you get this really dull result since there are no special macro capabilities built in. But for portraits, wider subjects, and street scenes, you will likely be impressed. On some scenarios, I even find it delivering more true-to-life results than the GT7, which is supposed to be way above its league. On the video front, you can record up to 1080p 60fps and 4K 30fps. The selfie camera comes at 60 megapixel, and the delivery isn't always super great for all conditions, but it's still useful. It's capable to record videos at 1080p 30fps. So, what exactly is the realme P3? It is inarguably a balanced phone that gets the essentials right. It delivers the standard experience in the areas that matters the most. It has a solid battery on reality and on paper, since 6000 mAh isn't a common feat these days. It has a dependable mid-tier processor that does its best for performance. It has a suitable display aspect ratio with sound visuals as well. Reliable main camera, AI-packed software, stereo speakers, these are quite something. It may not be flashy on the outside, and yes, this design choice leaves something to be desired. But the realme P3 attempts to prove itself as a dependable everyday phone for its segment, and it makes the device worth considering, especially if you want to save money over the new P4 in the possibility where it costs higher. Still, tell me what you think.